As the protests continue throughout Metro Atlanta, discussions are now underway to create legislation to spark big picture policy change. Today, faith leaders from multiple denominations held a virtual press conference calling for a hate crime bill. Bobeth Yates, she joins us live with all the details. Bobeth, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sean. Well, I'm at Piedmont Park on the other side of the park from our reporter Brittany Miller, and behind me you can see the crowds continuing to grow. And this group here tells me they're not just here because they're wanting to make noise, but they say they want to initiate change, and that's exactly what the faith leaders spoke about today in their press conference, calling on the lawmakers to stop and create a hate crime legislation.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
People are not just in the streets because of the death of George Floyd. And if people are thinking that's why people are in the street, they're missing the moment, they are missing the message.
Protest organizers say their goal isn't just to raise awareness about police brutality, but to call for change.
It is a compounded oppression of black people, it is a compounded oppression of poor people, it is a compounded oppression of marginalized people in this country, in this state, and in this city.
Georgia's faith leaders agree, calling for state lawmakers to pass a hate crime bill.
We have to take immediate legislative action the very moment the state legislature reopens and pass a hate crimes bill. It is a national embarrassment to be one of 4 states in our nation that cannot enact a meaningful hate crimes piece of legislation.
And there's also legislation in the works on a federal level. Congressman Hank Johnson has proposed 3 bills he hopes will provide police accountability.
He's proposed the police accountability bill, the grand jury reform bill, and then he also has a bill for a cooling off period. So those are some of the bills that he's focusing on to make sure that police are held accountable.
As for protesters, they say this time they're not letting up.
So people are in the streets for George Floyd, but they are also in the streets for the continued expansion of prisons and jails. When we don't expand our education system, when we don't expand our recreation systems, when we don't provide the services to seniors that they need. And so people are in the streets for those reasons. They're in the streets because of the lack of affordable housing. They're in the streets for homelessness. They're in the streets for the lack of health care.
Now the hate crime bill has already passed the House. The legislative session begins on June 15th, and state faith leaders are hoping at that time the Senate will follow suit and pass the bill. Live in Atlanta, Bobeth Yates, CBS 46 News.